Talk of the town. Take seven.
I was
Take
going
seven.
it might be 7.
Yeah,
I
probably
think
is
it
seven.
is.
It's seven.
It's
It's
7.
seven. We had to take a couple weeks off. School final season. Um, it was kind of like brutal this year. Me personally. But I'm done now. So, so
Bless your heart.
That's a big
bless my
threat.
heart.
Big threat.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm out of here. So
I got a
y'all
semester left.
can
I just can't
One
wait, yo.
semester left. One
I just
semester
can't
left.
wait, bro.
y'all can have that in the springtime. Meanwhile, I'm gonna be here chilling at the crib, working, doing that. But let's get straight to it. We just wrapped up week 14 already. This season is flying by. But our first topic is something that really dominated the football world for the past week or so, and that's the Eagles
I would
quarterback
say
situation.
year. I would even
Uh,
go as far as
mm,
year. A lot of people
but
wanting his job, man.
low key, but really like that, really like this story picked up steam, over this past week, that being Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. So Karan, I'm just going to pass this to you. What are your thoughts on that quarterback situation in Philly?
I think that is definitely a tricky situation. Like the Eagles are in like a very like rough spot right now. Just for the fact that because they gave Carson Wentz so much money, you can't just let him walk. And like obviously, if Jalen Hurts is playing well and you're getting wins with him, like you don't really have much of a choice. But if I were the Eagles, because for me, I feel like the Eagles have to make a decision. They have to either get rid of Dougie P or they have to get rid of Carson because there's a problem between the two of them. So it's not going to work anymore, in my opinion. So if it was me, I would take the chance with Carson. I would get rid of Dougie P because I feel like you've seen Carson be successful before. You know he can get you where you want to be, even though he hasn't like played in the playoff game yet. You know he can win you games enough to the point where you can get to the playoffs. So I feel like they definitely should get rid of Dougie P. But it's just like a tricky situation. There's a lot of ways it could play out. I definitely like the way Jalen Hurts looked this past week. So we just got to see how he looks the rest of the season. I'm not too sure what they're gonna do, like regarding the rest of the season, if they're gonna let Jalen Hurts play it out or if they're gonna put Carson back in there. So I think I just got to see a little bit more. But I definitely think they should stick with Carson and try to go a new route with like coaching and management.
Um, I think when you look at the situation, because you talk about like the money part of it, like I think you can look at Russ first year when he got there. They paid a quarterback money. They gave him an opportunity to compete, and then they moved on. I just think it's not Carson's team, right? I think it's never really been his team. I think he's always had to fight for respect on a team where he's been productive for them, and then it's like it's a mind game now. So who we seen in 2017 is not who we're seeing now, right? And what the Eagles wanted is somebody from 2017, and they're not getting that. So you got a lot of players on that team who are winners, who want to continue to win, and they're not winning. So they're looking at what's going to help them next. And I think if you do keep Dougie P, then you let him keep the person he drafted, which is Jalen Hurts, right? I think you move on from Carson. But if you don't, I think you keep Carson, but you got to move on from Dougie P because, like you said, there is a real big disconnect. It's not like something small, something major. Like there's a big one. And you can't have that. Like that's a very talented Eagles team with a lot of talent on there, and you got to get the best out of that team. And it may be getting rid of Dougie P, or maybe getting rid of Carson. And I don't know, like that's what Howie Roseman is paid for. So hopefully he makes the right decision. Personally, as a Cowboy fan, get rid of Carson, please. Like just make it easy for me. But I
I
think
think Howie
Carson
would
is,
go too.
yeah, like I think Carson is a really good talent. I think if he gets in the right system, I think we talked about this for a couple weeks now. You put Carson in the right system, I think you get 2017, and I would not be surprised if a lot of teams call if the Eagles decide to stay with Jalen Hurts. Like I wouldn't be surprised at all.
So Z, something that you said that Dougie P. should stay with his guy. Um, are you sold that Jalen Hurts was a product of Doug Peterson or was a product of higher management? Because just solely based off Carson's play, Carson should have been lost his job. Just taking his just taking his play. Um, like we we know that it was bigger than just Carson.
That's true.
But yeah,
Because like when you listen to the radio show, right? The radio shows like Dougie had to ask to bench Carson Wentz. So that lets you know where the Eagles organization really was thinking. Like he had to ask, can he bench Carson Wentz? So it's clearly something he's been thinking on for a while, right? And just couldn't do it because of the higher ups. I think with him drafting Jalen Hurts, I think Dougie wanted to move the offense more to who he learned it from, Andy Reid. You know what I mean? Kind of a mobile-ish guy who could throw the ball, who allowed the offense to do a little bit more. But then it's like we look at that, Carson can kind of do the same if you move the pocket. So I just really think that his guy was never Carson, you know, and I think that goes to show with the play calling. When Carson goes down, what was that, 2018? Nick Foles comes in and the team looks completely different. This Sunday, in general, like the play calling looks completely different that one game than it did the entire year. Miles Sanders has he had his most carries, I think, that one game
most
than the
touches
entire
the
year.
whole season.
Like there was a lot of motioning going on. Jalen Reagor was getting in space. Alshon decided to make adjustable catches. You know what I mean? Like, and for me watching, I seen Carson Wentz throw Alshon a similar ball versus Green Bay, and he just didn't even try for it. He just caught a contested catch on Marshawn Lattimore, one of the best corners in the league, for a touchdown. Like, so he was helping out Jalen Hurts to where it's like he wasn't helping out Carson, and that just makes it seem like to me they're going to play for who they want to play for, and I think the Eagles as a team made that decision, and I think Dougie P is going to stick with that, and I think he's a good enough offensive guy to make Jalen Hurts look successful if he was to stay with him.
Fair enough. Kind of just to piggyback off of what KJ said, like the Eagles are just really in a bad spot, period.
Yes.
Really with their whole cap situation, even if they do get rid of Carson, they wouldn't be shedding money so that they can make other changes to their roster simply because they'll be trading dead
it'll be dead money.
Dead cap away. That's where, excuse me. And if they stick with Carson, we kind of just saw we saw the second half of Green Bay and this last game, that was the best the Eagles looked this whole season. They got a jolt of energy, from their quarterback. It seemed like not just the wideouts, felt like playing, but the defense made plays. The line made plays. Man. Exactly. So I'm still not sold that Jalen Hurts gives the Eagles the best chance to win just solely based off talent. But football or sports, is really just more than just playing the actual game. It's mental. It's your bond with your teammates, and just seeing based off of how the Eagles played with Carson and how they played with Jalen Hurts, it's evident that the Eagles want to play more with Jalen Hurts, but the business of the game may not let that happen. So it's kind of where do the Eagles go from here?
And I think that's where they follow suit with how Seattle did it, right? Because who was the quarterback? Was that Matt Schaub?
See, I don't like that. What? No, that was Matt Flynn. I don't like that Seattle comp simply because Matt Flynn hadn't done anything prior to earning that contract.
So I wasn't saying that of what he done, but I was saying money wise. They paid him, I think it was $88 million, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they paid him somewhere around that. And then they
gave him a bag.
Yeah, so you got Jalen Hurts in the second round. So what you paying him? $1 million? And I think it was even cheaper for Seattle because Russ was drafted in the fourth round, right?
Third or fourth round, yeah.
Third round, so it was even cheaper. So it was just if that's who you're going to go with, like Seattle did, then you surround Russ or Jalen Hurts in this example with everything he needs. If that's who you're going to go with, you take the cap hit, you go with that. If that means you're going to be successful, but if there is a question in doubt that you're not sure if you're going to be successful, then you need to move forward with Carson, which means you have to get rid of Doug, because if not, that is too much money invested, where it'll be too much of a hit. You paid Darius Slay, you got a good defense, just surround him with what he'll need, and then get rid of the cancer. And that's what I mean by doing it like Seattle. Seattle got rid of that entire defense to make it Russ's team because they believed in Russ that much. So if Carson is really your guy and your franchise quarterback, then you get rid of all the cancer in the locker room and you focus it about him. So if that means Alshon Jeffrey's got to go, he has to go. If Doug Peterson has to go, he has to go. If Vinny Curry or Brandon Graham has to go, they have to go. If you're going to move forward with Carson and it's his team, then you move forward with Carson and his team. And I think that's how they should go about it. And I still hate the Eagles.
Fair enough. So now kind of the flip. Now let's talk about how the most valuable player race is shaping up. So obviously, the players here, they don't have to worry about whether it's their team or not. But really, it's mainly a two-man race right now with Patty and A-Rod. So Zeke, I'm going to pass this to you first to start. How or where do you see this spectrum lining up?
I think it's Pat, but I think it's Pat by like this. And I only say it's Pat by like this because I would say, like, if you're going to hold games over him, like, he didn't play well, but he still had like a decent game. But I think you can't ignore what Aaron Rodgers is really doing, like, regardless of who he's playing, how he's playing against. But he's on pace to finish with 50-4. Like, that's 50 touchdowns, 4 interceptions if he continues to play how he's playing. That's incredible. That's MVP worthy. And if you're the number 1 seed, I think that it should go to Aaron Rodgers in that case. But the reason why I would still give it to Patty is because, like, I just think the eye test, it just really shows you the amount of impact that he has, like, on the game in general, how he affects your other team's offense, how he affects your defense. I don't know, like, right now I have Pat slight, but, like, if Aaron Rodgers was to win it, it'd be because he finishes with, like, a 50-4 type season, and, like, anyone that finishes with 50 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, they deserve it, man, especially the 1 seed in their conference. So that's the only way I would say I would give it to Aaron Rodgers. But right now I still have Pat slightly. And, I mean, he just threw 3 interceptions and still threw for 400 yards. Like, so, and they won. So it's kind of hard. But, yeah, it's definitely a 2-man race, though. Definitely a 2-man race.
I definitely would have to agree that I give it to Pat in a slight edge. I feel like Pat had a way bigger lead coming into the week, and his play this weekend kind of made it a lot closer. But the way I see it is, I feel like they're having very similar seasons. Like, they're both very dominant. They're both winning a lot of games. So the only thing that can separate it from me is obviously the eye test, like you said, but more so the teams that they're playing. Like TS brought to our attention earlier. The Packers haven't. They've only beat 1 team that's over 500. I think they've only played like 3 or 4 teams that are over 500 in general. So their record against them is like either 1-2 or 1-3. But the Chiefs, on the other hand, have been knocking off top teams, or supposedly the top teams in the league. They beat teams like the Bucs. They beat teams like I was just looking at their schedule. They beat teams like they beat the Dolphins. They just got done beating. They beat the Bills. They beat the
embarrassed Buffalo.
So I feel like that's what is putting Pat over the edge, is the fact that he's getting these big time wins. The Packers just haven't really been in that position. They haven't played enough teams, but in the games that they have played against top teams, they haven't been getting the job done. See, they lost to the Colts. And, I forget what other top team. They got slaughtered by the Bucs that 1 week. So right now, I feel like it's definitely close, but I definitely got to give it to Pat in a slight edge. So I got to agree with you.
And not for nothing, though, we look at both the 3 interception games. I mean, one won the 3 interception game, and one got blown out in their 3 interception game. But that's just nitpicking to me. But yeah,
so I like Patty's case. But I will have to give it to the best the second best quarterback in the league, Mr. Rodgers, simply because there isn't really, like, he isn't doing it with as much as Patty has. Like, A-Rod just has Devontae Adams, and literally, I mean, so we probably know their like weapons, but if we were to just ask a casual fan, who's the second pass catcher on that Packers team, like they like couldn't tell you, and then even going in week out, we don't know if it's going to be Marquez Valdez Scantling. We don't know if it's going to be Robert Tonyan. We don't know if it's going to be Alan Lazard. So it's kind of like he's doing what he's doing with a who's who cast. And also keep in mind when he lost Jones for like that 3 to 4 week stretch.
He had Devontae Adams or Aaron Jones.
Exactly.
For like week stretch. That's
exactly.
True.
I mean, like, so obviously the offense took some type of a hit, but he was still able to have them go out in games, and be able to possibly win them. And then just looking at the sheer numbers, like, I'm not a big numbers guy, but his numbers are just off the charts, bro. Like I have him down right here. Right now, he's throwing for 3,700 yards, 39 touchdowns, 4 picks, and has a quarterback rating of almost 120. He has a quarterback rating of almost 120. A perfect quarterback rating is 158.3. So like, he is as close to perfect as we'll get from that quarterback spot, and just the fact that he's not doing it with the big guys that Patty is what's really what's letting me give him that edge over Patty. And also, I'm not sure how y'all feel about this, but would Josh Allen possibly be in that convo for y'all? Not at all.
Just perspective. He's had a great season, no doubt about it. But like,
I don't even think he had a great season.
I mean,
are you saying great because of wins? Because like the first 4 weeks, he looked good, right? And then he disappeared for the next 5, and then the last 2, he's been looking like, oh, all right, he's been looking good. Like, I can't even consider him like in that conversation.
But I mean, at the end of the day, you can't not give him his credit. Like, he's definitely balling, and the Bills are definitely, like I said, I don't think they're competing with the Chiefs. We saw that early in the season, but you gotta give credit where it's due. And Josh Allen's definitely been balling. So.
I disagree with you, Karan, with the notion that the Bills couldn't run with the Chiefs. I think the way that Josh Allen is playing right now, like if they were to play next week, I definitely think that it would be a great game. But that's 100% hinging on the play of Josh Allen, though.
I mean, I definitely feel like, that it would definitely be a lot closer game than it was in Kansas City. I don't think that they're going to just get blown out the waters again. But like I said, there's like, if the Bills and Chiefs played next week, I'm not thinking the Bills are going to win the game. Like, it might be a good game, an entertaining game, high scoring, but I'm not. I definitely wouldn't put money on it.
So my MVP is Pat, but since we're talking about this, I don't even think it'll be a close game. Like, I think this Bills defense, like, they took advantage of a very average Steelers offense that we've been saying for forever. You know what I mean? So it's like, if they had to travel to Kansas City, because that's what they would have to be, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even think it'd be a close game. And because, like, we've seen their defense being exposed quite a few times, like, this season, right? So it's like, if you're getting exposed by teams that are not the Chiefs, like, it's only going to get heightened probably about double the amount when you do play them because of the offense that they run. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think it would be competitive for a quarter until Andy Reid makes an adjustment, But I don't know. Like, I don't think there is really a team that is going to be able to sustain the amount of play to be able to beat the Chiefs. Like, it would really have to take a perfect game to beat the Chiefs. And the only person I think that can honestly pull that off is the other MVP candidate, but they won't ever meet until it's probably the Super Bowl. But for somebody to really beat the Chiefs, like, you have to play a perfect game. The Dolphins couldn't have played a better game defensively than they did. Tua couldn't have played a better offensively game in his rookie year than he already did. You know what I mean? And it wasn't enough. Like, Pat played okay, and special teams and defense made plays, and they won that game. So I guess in a way, could that hurt his MVP case? Probably so, because he has more of a complete team than Aaron Rodgers. But at the same time, like I said, me just going off eye test, like I don't know, it just looks like Pat is the best in the league right now, and I think that's my MVP.
So now to counter Zeke. So for how great the Chiefs are and for how great we know they can be, they haven't put together a dominant 4 quarters of play since they played the Jets, right? So really just based off of their play, you know, like they've been sloppy, like really like these past
That's
6
fair.
weeks. You don't think a team like Buffalo would be able to capitalize off of their sloppy play, you know, on like a team like the Dolphins would, or Vegas, or who else did they just play?
So I think I get what you're saying, but I also think like they have a you know how the saying like teams get up for the bigger name teams. You know what I mean? So when they played those teams where they had to like show like who the Chiefs are, they've shown it. For example, Buffalo, Tampa, and I think this weekend will also be another case. And I just think when you run into Brian Flores in that defensive scheme, it gives anyone problems. So like I'm going to hold weight to that, but it's just to me it's like they know they're the best team in the league, and it's a matter of not being motivated to play. You know what I mean? And I think you kind of see that with them in the playoffs because they had the same issue last year until they got into the playoffs, and then you see they took it up a level, took it up another level, took it up a level, and then they scored 21 points in 8 minutes to win a Super Bowl. So it's just, I think it's really a matter of just like motivation for them. And it's not like, I don't want to sound like I'm putting too much on their head, but it's like the Warrior effect when they had Kevin Durant, Clay, and all of them. Like they know they are the best team, and they don't really start to play their best until they feel as if they really, really have to, or they have to send a message. And I think that's where you get the sloppiness in them because, you know, with the Warriors, they also had a really high turnover ratio. The Chiefs have a really bad red zone efficiency right now, but I think all that gets fixed when they can really just buckle down and focus. And I think you'll see that in the playoffs.
Okay. All right. So kind of like just to wrap this up, you know, we're all huge on the Chiefs here. We think that they're going to represent the conference in the Super Bowl. And do we all think that they do go back to back? Kind of just here, real quick.
I think they go 3-peat, if I'm being honest.
Go 3-peat?
I think they go back to back. And I think next year they run into in all seriousness, they run into Miami. And I think that's where they'll lose. But I think they'll probably win 3 out of 5. But I think they go back to back. Yeah.
Welcome to the bandwagon, Z.
It's the way they're coached. It's their grittiness. It's the toughness, the physicality. I think we give Tua another year. I think you surround him with more weapons. I just think that they'll have a recipe where it's like it's going to be able to compete with the Chiefs. And, you know, the more and more you let Brian Flores see you, which is what he did to Jared Goff in the Super Bowl, which is what he did to Patty in the AFC Championship game, you know. So he has a recipe of slowing down high-octane offenses. So when he's able to draft, you know, younger players, better players, and also have Tua be more mature, I think they're going to be a problem for a very long time. So I think the Chiefs go 3 out of 5 back-to-back, but I think next year they get spoiled in probably about the second or third round. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Chiefs. Yeah.
Oh.
I think they're going 3-peat for sure. Without a doubt.
So
when transitioning, I think it's been very interesting with the NBA this offseason. KJ, your boy James Harden, man, what's up with him, man?
I don't know. I don't like how he's going about things at all. And the more stories that keep coming out, it's just like, I'm sorry.
Horrible.
Yeah, lose more respect for him. It's like he sounds like a diva, and like I never really got that persona.
Superstars are divas, though.
You said what?
I said superstars are divas, though.
No word, but it's like at some point you gotta like draw a line, and it's like him trying to force his way out of town, and like he keeps flip flopping superstars that's coming with him. He wanted CP, then he kicked CP3 out of town. He wants Russ. Now he wants Russ gone. Like you got to make up your mind. Apparently, flying out to Vegas and all these party towns in between games, like that's gonna be a monster every time when it's so it's like I just don't like the way he's going about it. I feel like there's a
got
better
some Dennis
way.
Rodman to him. Got a whole lot of Dennis Rodman.
Like that's what I'm saying. But and the thing is, like, James Harden is gonna come in and he's gonna do what he has to do. So I guess as an organization, you can't really like tell him like you need to do this, because he's still gonna go out there and get you 40. But it's like it seems like he runs out of steam every time in the playoff. I feel like that him doing his outside activities can have an effect on that, and I think he should realize that and maybe change his ways.
So TS, he said when you're dropping, in other words, KJ basically said when you're dropping 40, being productive, right? A lot of that should go, right? Like him going to party and everything. So as we see it as unprofessional, and as the media sees it as unprofessional, and apparently a lot of the other superstars are losing respect for him. Is that a reason for you to allow his actions because he's dropping 40, or you know what I mean? Like, how
this is
would you
actually
feel?
funny. So I read a piece yesterday that basically said that these past 3 years, it was literally whatever Harden got in Houston or wanted in Houston, he got. So like now when like he's asking for a trade and like they are saying like we aren't just going to like trade you, now we're seeing how he's reacted, because for the first time in like his tenure as a superstar, he's being told no.
Right.
And this is actually kind of similar. Well, not similar in like the same like diva sense, but the whole Clippers situation with Paul George and Kawhi, kind of like where like they like see, or where the superstars get like a special treatment, and that is detrimental to the culture
and organization.
Yeah, and really it's also hurting Harden's value too, because now other teams are seeing what he's doing when he doesn't get what he wants. So now it's kind of like, all right, if like I'm the Nets, thinking of trading for him, and I don't cater to his every need, what type of James Harden, am I going to get,
So here's my thing with all this, right? I think players now, right, because of their spoiledness, I think they took the player empowerment the absolute wrong way, right? So when LeBron did it, he fulfilled his need and felt as if he couldn't win, right? So LeBron played through 2 contracts in Cleveland, and when he felt as if he couldn't win, he left in free agency. Kevin Durant played through 2 contracts in OKC, and when he felt as if he couldn't win with the team he had, he left in free agency. So for a lot of these superstars that ask for trades or to be so demanding but haven't accomplished anything, I think that's where you get a problem like James Harden. You can't sit here and want to make all these demands and you want to basically be the organization, but you're not fulfilling your need of winning, right? Like Kevin Durant got to a finals with OKC and an MVP.
Conference finals, right?
Yep, conference finals, and an MVP. LeBron, the same thing. So, and then they just have fallen outs with teammates and things of that nature. But James Harden. Go ahead.
Harden does have that trophy though, and Harden has definitely finished top 2 and 4 of the past 6 races though. So Harden is doing his job, kind of.
But when the Rockets got him, were they thinking Western Conference Finals, MVP, or were they thinking championship? Because the way they built their roster, they went straight analytic. They went straight analytic with the hopes of saying that numbers would beat manpower and winning a championship. And they had the Warriors 3-1, and he couldn't close out a game by himself.
I feel like
the league MVP.
I feel like it is a tricky situation for the Rockets because, like we said, James Harden hasn't won a championship or anything. Like, obviously, his production is high. He's won an MVP, and he's always in the conversation. But I feel like it's a tricky situation because, yes, he hasn't won anything, but then you got to look at the team he was running into every year. He lost to the Warriors every single year, and then he just lost to the Lakers. So it's not like he's just losing to teams that he shouldn't be losing to. Every time he's lost is to a team that everybody probably thought he should have lost to. But he did blow I think they were up 3-2 in Houston, but then
3-1.
I don't think it was 3-1.
No, it was 3-2. It was 3-2.
It was 3-2, but then, after they go up 3-2, CP3 goes down, and it's a whole different ballgame. But it's like, it's just tricky.
If you're the man, and that's what I mean, right? So when they cater to you, they mean that they believe in you solely, that you are the man, right? So you're not really fulfilling like what you were saying. You know what I mean? Like Daryl Morey wasn't surrounding you with star after star after star to sit there and be getting knocked out in Western Conference Finals, second rounds. You know what I mean? Like the expectation has been championships since James Harden basically really got into his MVP form, right? Which is about his second year in Houston. So like, I don't know. I just think he's going about it wrong. I don't like it even more because they have a black head coach, and it's already bad enough that like black head coaches in any professional league are on a short leash, and you are a superstar that can help him. You know what I mean? So like, not many coaches get superstars in their first stint, especially black coaches. So like, I just think he's going about it wrong. Like, if you're unhappy, that's one thing, but like, I don't know. Personally, I don't like it. I think he could go about it differently. And when you look at it, I think he has a better team this year than he did last year with the pieces that they surround him.
100%.
So, like, you can still get to the playoffs and cause some damage. Like, and I'm not saying revert your expectations, but don't, you know what I mean? Don't give up so quickly, you know? So it's just, I don't know. He's a baller. James a baller. Like, I like him. I enjoy him. And I also think he just got to change up a little bit of his playing style. Like, it's not helping them in what they need. So, and I mean, hopefully they figure it out though. Like, I would like for him to stay where he is. I think I'm tired of seeing these quadruple super teams. You know what I mean? I think this is very balanced in the NBA for a very long time. Like, we went from the Heatles to the Warriors, and we almost had a net situation where they had a third star. So hopefully he stays. Hopefully he, you know, can fix up whatever's going on. Hopefully he stays out of Vegas in Atlanta during his, you know, pregame trips and everything. So, but speaking of the Nets, fellas, Kyrie, you know, the weirdo, and Kevin Durant, the bigger weirdo. But they look good when they play.
Hoopers. They are hoopers.
But they weirdos.
When they get on the court, all that weird stuff goes out the window.
It's hoopers. It's straight hoopers.
They look good. So I wanted to ask, KJ, I'm gonna start with you. I wanted to ask you, what is your like realistic expectations for this Nets team? Like, how do you think how far they could go?
Well, I definitely think that they should be aiming for the finals. I think it's finals or bust for them.
Okay.
You have a roster like that, it should be no other way. You have two superstars who have won championships before. There should be no shorter expectation than getting to the finals. But the East I feel like the East is a lot more open than people think it is.
Very true.
They feel, or I think that they see Katie and Kyrie and they're thinking the Nets got it. But the Sixers don't look bad. The Sixers are going to be good next year. They got a new coach. They're probably going to run a new system. You still got Boston. You got to worry about Miami's still there. So, I mean, like I said, and then obviously you still got Milwaukee. So that's just 5 teams right there, not even talking about the lower end team. So it's going to be tough for the Nets to get there. Like I said, their roster is insane. So they just, at the end of the day, for them, it's just finding a way to make it work, getting all these different pieces to work together to get the goal that they want.
They have a very stout roster.
I definitely do think the Nets make it out. Like I said, they shouldn't expect anything less. I think the team that'll give them the most problems is probably Philadelphia, just because of their size. They can match up with them. And Doc being an experienced coach, he'll be able to game plan with them. So that's where I think the East is headed. I think it's going to be a Nets and Sixers showdown. Bring back the rivalry a little bit. I think it's going to be good.
What about you, TS? How you feel about the Nets?
I think the Nets are the second best team in New York. I'm lying. Sorry, KJ. Sorry, KJ. I'm trolling, bro. I'm trolling. But seriously though, I do have the Nets coming out of the East for me. And even though I do think that, you know, that whole conference is more wide open than people think, like KJ said, I think that the Nets are going to do it relatively easy, assuming everyone stays healthy. When you saw the Lakers last year, like their 1-2 combo just had too much firepower. So it's kind of like you can have the deepest roster, you can want, but if your superstars aren't of that ilk, your team isn't going to do much. And I think that KD and Kyrie are of that ilk. And when you factor that in with a roster that went down to the bubble last year, and even though they didn't win much, they played well. They played
That's
hard.
true.
Karras really showed that. Like Karras showed that he's a true hooper, and when you put him as the third option with KD and Kyrie, like he could have
It's a beautiful third option.
Yeah, he could have some like huge games where like he's going off for 30, 35, any given night. You have somebody like Spencer Dinwiddie, who is one of the more solid guards. So you could play him with Kyrie, and KD and Karras, and then have somebody like, Jared Allen, at at the five. So literally, you have four guys who could go get to a bucket, on their own, and also four guys who I don't think that they're selfish players. I don't think that KD is a selfish
KD's very
guy.
unselfish. Yeah,
I don't think Kyrie is a selfish guy. So like, I don't think that they will have to, fight with egos on court either. Hey, bro, y'all can say what y'all want on Kyrie, but when he left Bron to like kind of like form like his own team per se, I knew that he didn't want his own team simply because he paired up with a second superstar. So like it's kind of like he knows that he can't do this solo. So he's going to lean on KD the same way that KD is going to lean on him. And then they have other pieces there, that are just going to boost their play. So that's just my take, on Brooklyn this season.
So here's my comparison with this team, and I'm not saying they're as good, but they remind me a lot of the Heat, right? And what I mean by that, the Heat end with LeBron, right? So I think
the first, second, third, or fourth season because those were all totally different Heat teams.
I'm gonna go second season, right? Because I think I think KD and Kyrie have a bond where they're going to know who's going to be taking the last shot. You know what I mean? So I don't think they're going to have that issue going on. I think everyone knows KD is going to have the ball, right? So I think where they will struggle, and I'm like dead serious about this, length and defense and physicality. And I think that's when you bring in the Sixers, right? A Sixers coached by Doc Rivers. You know what I mean? So I think that's going to cause them problems. I would say Eastern Conference Final more so. You know what I mean? Simply because if you can get somewhat Kyrie out of his game, there's no getting Kevin Durant out of his game. But I think if you're physical enough to take Kyrie out of his game, I think that's going to affect the Nets completely. I think and I'm not saying this to single him out, but I think Kyrie is the time bomb on that team. I think they will go as far as he goes mentally. Like if Kyrie is a good teammate, if Kyrie's attitude free, because I think even without Kyrie, if Kevin Durant is on that team, I think they still make noise anyway. But I think they get even better if they're both playing like great basketball. So like my realistic expectation for the Nets, like if they don't make it to the finals, it's a failure of a season. Because you like KJ said, there is way too much talent for you to lose to realistically anyone in the East, right? Like, do I think they'll be challenged? Yes, because every team has its weaknesses, and playoff basketball exposes that. But like you have two championship winning players. You have a coach who actually seems like they know what they're doing offensively, but then it's the staff around them. Like everything that they need is built around them. They have a good defensive staff. They have a good offensive coach. They have a good head coach. They have the superstars. They have the depth. They have the size. So I just think that it's really going to be up to Kyrie. Like if Kyrie can stay focused, drama free, Like, you know what I mean? Like, none of the issues that they had, Cleveland, Boston, I think that you will see the Nets really take off and meet the Lakers in the finals. But I think a lot of that does have to deal with Kyrie and him accepting, like, he's going to be, like, basically 1B. Like, Kevin Durant is the second best player in the league when he's healthy. So, like, the ball is going to have to go through his hands. And I think that they will be just fine if they do so.
So we all have the Sixers and the Nets, you know, kind of as the two main teams. But Giannis just signed, you know, that contract. How much longer do y'all think it'll take, you know, for the Bucks to be a serious player, you know, in the East? The Bucks and Boston as well, because Boston has been building for this for the past 4 or 5 seasons, and like they aren't there yet.
For the Bucks, I go 0% chance. I just think Giannis's skill set is going to hinder that team in the playoffs a lot unless he decides to like really get a jump shot. Like in all seriousness, I think that's where their success really hinders on, and it doesn't look like Giannis is going to be able to consistently hit that jump shot. Like he only had to hit the 3. Like he just has to hit a mid range, and doesn't look like he'll consistently be able to hit that. And then with Boston, I don't know. Like you really don't know. Like they have so much talent, and like Brad Stevens knows what he's doing, but it seems like they always fall short, and I don't know where it could be coming from or what the issue may be, but it's like they just seem to always fall short. So Boston, like I just think they'll be competitive because they always are. And then with Milwaukee, I just think it really it goes with just how far Giannis goes. And they are literally a Giannis jump shot away from being serious contenders. And I just think that is a 0% chance, though, that they'll be complete contenders, though.
I think Boston has more of a chance than people are trying to give them credit for. Like I said earlier, I think the Sixers are the team to challenge the Nets, but the Sixers haven't been able to get through Boston these past few years. So that's one problem right there. So if they can't get through Boston, then Boston, in my opinion, is that next team up.
Can't sleep on Toronto.
I don't like Toronto at all. I honestly don't think they'll make much noise. They lost Gasol and Ibaka. I feel like their team is going to be completely different. I don't think like Siakam is that dude that you could go to, and so like I feel like they need to
$100 million.
I feel like they got their championship with Kawhi. I feel like it's time for them to start trying to redirect or change up their, because like I said, Kyle Lowry isn't like he's still a great player. I'm not gonna take anything away from him, but I don't think
Kyle's not that dude.
Exactly, he's not that dude, and neither is Siakam in my opinion. So, and with the way the East is going, all this young talent coming in, I feel like the Raptors need to go try and get somebody.
Do you think, not to cut you off, but do you think they should have maybe lured Giannis? Like, do you think they probably should have tried to lure Giannis?
I don't think Giannis was going anywhere.
I don't think he was
ever.
I don't think he was.
You know, so I mean,
I think he was interested though. Well, like we look at a lot of what he said, I think he was trying to test the waters. Well, I think he realized quickly, you know.
I feel like as a player, like when you're getting that much attention, like you're gonna take to it a little bit. Like he's
right. That's true.
And you got teams like the Warriors and the Heat trying to recruit you. Like that probably felt a little good, but at the end of the day, he probably never seriously. Max, Giannis.
Yeah, I'm not turning out $228 million from no one.
And I think that people aren't really realizing is how old is Giannis? What, 25?
Yeah, 25.
So he's gonna play out this contract. He's gonna be still in his prime when the contract is up. So then after he has played this contract, he's got his money. Then he could probably really go team up with somebody and try to win a championship. But I don't think that's what was on Giannis's mind. Obviously, every player is trying to win a championship, but let's be realistic. Me personally, I don't think Giannis with this roster is going to win a championship. So I think he's just trying to get his money. He's trying to get his accolades, his stats, whatever. And then when this contract is up, then he's going to make the moves he needs to make to try to win a championship. That's what I believe Giannis is going to do.
And my thing, like when people try to hold, you know, like these players to like, oh, championships, like some players are not like that. You know what I mean? Like some players don't really want all the championships. Example, Russ. Russ is going. You gonna get a dog in Russ every night.
What about the Wizards? The Wizards are gonna be a problem, low key.
Wizards are gonna be good, but like they're gonna be a clear tier under like those teams.
What are they doing? They're not going to get.
bro.
The Wizards can play somebody like the Celtics or the Bucks, the Heat, and they could easily knock them off without a doubt. In the playoffs, they could easily knock them off.
Wait.
I just gotta
Wait. You just said the Wizards could beat the Celtics in a 7-game series?
Yes. Yes. Without a doubt. Well, I'm not saying without a doubt like the series. I'm not saying without a doubt they'll win the series. Without a doubt, there's a chance that they could beat the Celtics.
Okay.
I can
see it. I can see
Wizards,
it. But it's like, can it really happen?
I think
Wizards are one of those teams I have to like really see play prior to me like
definitely
putting
I like
any
the
like
Hawks
stock
more than I
into
like
them.
the Wizards.
All right, see now me, I'm a big Trae Young fan and I'm a big Hawks fan, so like, but I can't even say I'll put the Hawks over the Wizards.
That Hawks roster is stacked, bro.
It is. But look, here's okay.
No one is 30 but Rondo.
Word. So look, you're still gonna get your production out of Russell Westbrook because he's gonna be on the court.
It is true.
And he's gonna play his minutes. So you can say you're gonna get about anywhere from 25 to 28 points a game from Russ, but he's gonna get you the rebounds and assists. And then you're still getting 30 from Brad Beal. So that's about 55, 60 points. Yes.
If usage goes down though.
You're getting 30 from Brad Beal. You're getting 30 from Brad Beal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on top of that, you have a lights out shooter in Bertans, I think his name is. Lights out. And then after that, I'm not saying they have talent off the charts, but like they got decent talent. Like they're just
talent. I like Roy Hachimura.
Like Rui and then Thomas Bryant. Like they got some players that can play, but I feel like you get Russ and you get Bill, you're gonna at least be in the game, in my opinion, and I feel like that's all you need. And then when you have players like Russ and Bill and you're in the game at the end of games, it could go either way when you got two superstars like that or two stars like that, pardon self.
The Hawks. That roster, Trae Young.
I think the Hawks are like a 7 seed.
I definitely got the Hawks slotted in like that 6 seed for me.
So
like, I think that's gonna be a problem that no one really wants to play. I'm gonna be quite honest. Like if they click the way they're supposed to, like I think if the Hawks click the way they're supposed to, and then like with that length, that talent, that potential that they have, like I think that is one team you don't want to play. Like they're going to remind me a lot of the Suns in regards of like they can be spoiler in the playoffs for a lot of people.
You say the Suns, I say the pre-super team Warriors.
Ooh.
So like those Warriors teams that were coached by Mark Jackson and always got bumped in the first round in 7 games. Always.
Do you think they're a coach away from actually reaching their potential? Like, do you think that's what it is?
No. I think that they need more top level pieces. You know, like they just have like Trae Young, you know, like as like that guy, you know, like now in this league, you need 2 guys who could possibly be that guy.
John Collins did average 10 though.
He did, but are you putting John Collins in the same convo as somebody like Jokic? Are you putting John Collins in the same convo as somebody like Davis? No. So,
but see, even to your point that you just made, saying the Hawks are like the pre-Kerr Warriors. That's how I could see the Hawks too, but like getting in the first round and getting bumped in like 6 or 7. That's why I'm saying I can't see them over the Wizards just yet. The Hawks are very young. They're like,
but the Wizards to get swept though.
By who? The Wizards to get swept?
By who?
Depending on their matchup, like they could really mess around and get swept.
I don't see anybody in the East sweeping the Wizards. That's just a little too much.
But like when in the East is really going to come down to, I think, like your stars and your bench play though. I mean, that's the NBA in general. Yeah. But like who on the Wizards bench is like really going to be able to hold it down when Russ or Brad Beal have to come out?
Well, I would definitely have to look at their roster. I'm not keyed in on their roster 100%, but like I know that they don't have like these top tier like bench name. Like they don't have anybody like Karis LeVert coming off the bench, but they have the players. And in the NBA, that's all you need in my sense, because when you have someone like Russell Westbrook and you have someone like Bradley Beal, I feel like you know your team is going to be at least in the game. And then when you're in the game with those two superstars, like I said, at the end of the game, it could go either way. It's just depending on who's making shots and who's getting
The
stopped.
Hawks team has the players in the names.
They
in
do,
the bench.
but they're
I'm
so
looking at it.
young.
You got Rondo, you got Clint Capella, Danilo Gallinari, DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Huter, Chris Dunn,
Cam
defensive
Reddish.
specialist, Cam Reddish, like
So,
Trae
okay,
Young, Bogdan, like.
okay. So now here's
And
my
they
thing.
just drafted Onika Okun. I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah,
Him.
well,
He's
So
yeah.
So now look, so to the names you just said. So Rondo, he's coming off a great season with the Lakers. It's not like Rondo's going to be coming off the bench. So he's not going to be able to affect the game like that much to the point where like
He did that for us though.
But I'm saying at the times he did that for y'all, he was getting like big minutes, and I feel like you can't put Rondo and Trae Young on the court at the same time. So and you're not going to sit Trae Young for a long amount of time. He's your go-to scorer. He has the ball in his hand 90% of the time. So I feel like Rondo is there in a mentor role. I think his playing time isn't going to be as big as everyone's like making it seem. I think it was a great pickup to mentor Trae, but like their team is so young. Like you just named me a bunch of players: Trae Young, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, Huerter, John Collins. All these players, they have no playoff experience. And then the players that do have playoff experience, like Gallinari and Clint Capella, it's not like they were the go-to guys. They were complementary pieces. Clint Capella was catching alley-oops all game from James Harden. And Danilo Gallinari, he can definitely get to a bucket. I'm not saying he can't, but he was never the go-to guy on his team. In OKC, he was with CP and Shai. In LA, he was playing with. I mean, he could have been the go-to guy with the Clippers. I'm really going blank on who their go-to was back then. Maybe Lou Williams and stuff like that.
They didn't have one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, so for me personally, I'm not saying I got Danilo Gallinari, so I'm about to go win a playoff series. Like that's just not the way I'm looking at it as a GM. So, like I said, I definitely like the Hawks. I'm a big Trae Young fan. That's probably my favorite player in the league right now. I think the Hawks are going to be a team to reckon with in years to come, but I feel like we got to give them a chance to get there. They haven't even made the playoffs yet. I don't think they're making it out the first round for at least another 2 years. At least.
So just quickly, just to recap what if anyone saw the game last night, like do you think the Lakers are built to sustain like I guess like I wouldn't say a dynasty, but a championship run for some years? Like do you think they're built?
Yes, 100%.
Future and now?
Because I feel like they already locked in Anthony Davis, and after LeBron's contract is up, I feel like after he leaves, it's going to be perfect for another star to come in. And the Lakers also have some young talent, like your man's Horton Tucker. He's been balling. Obviously, it's the preseason, but it's only the preseason. But we don't know, like, if that carries over, like he could be a solid piece for the Lakers going forward. Then you still got Kuzma and players like that. So I feel like the Lakers are in a great position. Like I said, they have Anthony Davis, so like it's not like you don't have that superstar that you need. You already have your cornerstone. So after LeBron leaves, you just need to find one more piece, and you're going to be in the mix for years and years to come.
So TS, for you, my question is, so I think the Lakers have, even bias aside, I think they have a perfect mix of vets, and young talent, right? I think there's a perfect mix there. Who can you really see giving them like a really big problem, I would say, that could play spoiler to them? Or is it like clear cut, like they're just the best team in the West?
Are you so play spoiler for them in like the whole league or just in the Western Conference?
Well, their conference, yeah, because when they get to the finals, that's different. But like for their conference, like is there a spoiler or is there somebody they have to watch out for?
I mean, like I want to say Denver, but Denver isn't really there yet. Like that was clear last year, and then plus they lost, two key pieces to that team. So probably the team I would say, even though like this like may like sound like weird, is the Clippers. Simply because they just have the sheer talent to match up with them. But just like but it's really hinging on how that talent plays when it's time to play, So I'm not saying that the Clippers will beat the Lakers. I still think that the Lakers are clear cut a better team.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to teams that could possibly give them, a run for their money, it has to be the Clippers. It has to be.
So I think what I noticed from the Lakers, besides the obvious, which is like their roster is better this year than it was last year.
Oh, by far.
I think what's gonna make them so dangerous is that they are playing with a whole lot more space this year than they did last year.
Hmm.
The lanes, and maybe it's because I don't know if Phoenix is a good defensive team, but when you just simple things like when you look at the lanes for everyone to operate in, they're huge, and I think that's because Marc Gasol can hit a 3-point shot. Like
That and
last year
he
when we had to develop
he's
against Dwight Howard, you know what I mean? Like they don't threaten you and scoring offensively consistently. But I think when you get somebody like Marc Gasol, that spreads the floor for what the Lakers really want to do. So I think offensively they'll take it up actually a notch more than I think they did last year.
so I don't think it's Mark shooting that is helping their spacing per se. Like, yeah, he can knock down that three, but also his passing. Um,
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you saw like their second preseason game. I think it was where like he was just hitting cutters, like literally like turning and like it's like right here, for
Dimes, right? Yeah.
for a layup. So in in a sense, it was kind of like Mark filled in for Rondo, JaVale, and Dwight at the same time. So like for every piece that they lost this past
They replaced.
season, they got back in twofold though. So
That's
yeah,
very true.
so
Like you
like
lose Danny Green, you get Wes Matthews. You lose Rondo,
exactly,
you get
you
Schroeder.
get Schroeder,
You lose JaVale and Dwight, and then you end up with Marc Gasol.
Mark, and
Um,
Trez.
and Trez. And then
So
you think about you developed your young player, which the Lakers had issues with before, and Taylor
mhm.
Horton Tucker looks like he's going to be productive. And we've been giving a lot of play time to a very young center. I can't think of his name right now, but it seems like it's not the Lakers of the past. Like they're focusing on development and long term, like
Mhm.
sustainability. Um, and this leads me to so I'm hearing a lot of Nets Lakers between all three of us for finals preview. What is your early predictions?
I, I Nets in six just cause.
I think the
Damn,
Lakers. I
that's
think the Lakers
messed
go
up,
back to
bro.
back. I think the Lakers go back to back. I'm like the Lakers in six. But I definitely think the Lakers and Nets is what we need to see. I feel like that'll get the most views for the NBA. Like that'll generate the most money. That'd be because there's so many storylines behind it. You got Brown and KD as the two best players, but then you still got the Brown and Kyrie like conversation.
Hmm.
And obviously, you bring AD into the mix. It's just superstars over the court. So definitely think that's a great finals matchup. It's one I want to see. But I definitely think the Lakers go back to back, regardless of who they play.
I think Lakers in seven and dramatically. I would say Lakers in six if LeBron was about 2 years younger. But like I like Kevin Durant for as much as I talk junk about him, and he's very skilled, and he like him alone is going to push that Lakers team. I think into like a real like that series is going to be crazy. Like one because motivational purposes. Like Kevin Durant's tired of everybody talking about LeBron, so he's gonna really ball out to try to take the crown. You know what I mean? There's been a whole lot of talk about Giannis, Kawhi, but he's been lost in the mix. And then Kyrie's gonna be looking to prove a point. And that Nets has a really good team. I think that series goes seven. And to be honest, Laker fan to me is gonna say Lakers in seven. But like that's gonna be a toss up if that game goes seven because of the amount of power that both teams have. So is that the finals that we all want to see? Of course. Hopefully fans is in. Hopefully the vaccine is done. Hopefully it's working. You know what I mean? So that way they can get fans in, and then we'll just see. I like a Lakers Nets final, and yeah.
Well, so that's all for this week's episode. Please be sure to interact, share, give us feedback. We're always open to any and all types of feedback. But until next time, y'all be easy.
Also, take your money on Luca as an MVP if you bet.
He's a heavy favorite too. Heavy favorite.
That's all. Catch y'all.
Sure.